Making preparations to install the upper structure of the cabin, we cut the final bulkhead. Then we make a template and use the router to cut 5 notches in the transverse roof beams. The notches will hold 5 wooden stringers running the full length of the cabin roof. Back to work on the plumbing, we cut out the floor to accept the low-profile drain for the shower. Then we cut and glue on an additional plywood flange to ensure a strong, stiff, flat mounting surface for the drain to seal against. Once the flange has cured, we check the fit of the drain and install PVC tubing that drains the shower water aft to a small 2.5-gallon gray tank with an automatic sensor and pump. Next, we cut and assemble the 5 support stringers for the cabin roof. Each stringer is 1 inch by 1.5 inches thick and approximately 18.5 feet long. We round the bottom edges with a 1/4 inch roundover bit for an exact fit with the notches in the transverse beams. Next, we make a template to cut scarf joints and join the pieces with glue. Then we sand them smooth and seal them with 3 coats of epoxy. We finish cutting the notches in the front and rear bulkheads. Then we set the roof stringers in place to use as guides while installing the transverse beams. Once all bulkheads are filleted and taped in place, we install the transverse beams. Each beam is glued up from 3 layers of 3/8 inch plywood, sandwiched together with the adjacent bulkheads. It's time to install the cabin sides. Each panel is dry fit in place, checked for fairness as it curves around the bulkheads, and then carefully scribed and trimmed. Once satisfied with their fit, we tack the panels in place with tabs of epoxy. A day later, we fillet and tape them. When the sides have cured, we use a block plane to trim them to their final height and shape. To ensure the bow transom is strong enough to bear the stresses of towing and anchoring, we install a 3-inch tall, full-width stiffener that increases the thickness by an additional 2 inches where the bow eye passes through the transom. Next, we round the edges of the forward hatch over the fuel tank and cover it with 1 layer of 9-ounce fiberglass cloth. Then we sand the roof beams, verify that everything is properly aligned, and glue the roof stringers into position. At last, it's time to fit the roof. We start by dry fitting each panel in place with clamps, ratchet straps, and a few screws so we can trace the roof beams and stringers underneath. Then we remove each panel and trim it closer to its final size, taking care to ensure that the seams between panels join at one of the transverse roof beams for good support. Using the outline of the framing we traced onto the underside of the panels, we pre-drill holes every 9 inches so we know where to locate fasteners. Then we reattach each panel, drilling and driving fasteners at these pre-drilled locations. A few days later, we remove the panels and coat the undersides with 3 coats of epoxy to protect them from moisture. We leave the panels dry where they overlap the roof framing, as this will allow a stronger soak-in bond with the epoxy later when we glue the panels down. While the panels are curing, we also seal the beams and stringers that support the roof, again leaving the tops dry for a soak-in bond when we glue the roof down. When the seal coats have cured, we saturate the top of the framing and apply thickened epoxy. As each roof panel is refastened into place, we check for the desired amount of squeeze out underneath and clean up the excess. About 4 hours later, and nearly 2 years into the build process, the superstructure of our cabin is finally in place.